Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
Basically, this preventive history is nothing but we were attaching a workflow. What we are doing here. Let's say if Kevin is a person, right? Kevin, he joined the company named ZRO. Here he is working as an employee and his role is in H, R for creating invoice. Creating invoice means the sponsor of Kevin is preparing the salary card for each employee. Kevin used to prepare the salary card for each employee. What happened now? You know there was another employee, right? His name is Lara, who used to manage this salary card. Once Kevin prepared the salary card right, Lara used to approve this salary card. Once the salary card is approved, then the salary was prepared and it was sent to all the employee individuals, right? Now what happened? Lara, when because of Shime issue or no, she was fallen sick. Now she is in vacation. She said, like Lara said to Kevin, now you should or you can please manage my job for a few days, right? Once I'm back, I'll take it hand in. Now, as a part of Lara, which is handling this approval part, Kevin has requested for this approval application, right? Now Kevin approval and he has, raised the request for this salary card approval. And now Kevin, right, he submitted the request. Earlier he was creating invoice. Now he has tried to submit the request for approving invoice role as well, right? Now, the moment Kevin right raised for this access right before it go to approval, it should get terminated immediately. Terminate immediately as a part of preventive history. Preventive history, what it mean before any violation occur, right? Because creating invoice and approving invoice both are a violation. A single person shouldn't have access to both the system creating an invoice. If somebody has both the system, they can create their own salary card. Kevin, can to draw 50 crore? He can create a salary card for himself and he can approve it for himself. And then the salary would get created. Him and he can do a biggest threat to the company, right? That is why this create invoice and approving invoice. It is a biggest violation. It shouldn't be there in the system. To occur that or before occurring this violation, we should stop it. How we can stop it? Through the preventive history. How the preventive history work? Let's say this is R. We are talking about preventive history. Preventive history, what will happen if this is entitlement 1 creating invoice? Another entitlement, this is ENT2 entitlement 2 approving invoice. Now I am telling if somebody has already access to ENT1, this shouldn't have access to EN2. Or if ENT2 somebody has access, this shouldn't have access to Entitlement 2. Entitlement 1 for approving. If somebody has, he cannot create invoice. If somebody can create invoice, he cannot approve the invoice. If Kevin as a person, right, he want to have access for this Entitlement 1 or Entitlement 2, right? I can stop this access or I can stop him, right? Once he submit the request, right, before it process, I can stop him through the workflow, right? These two entitlement 1 and entitlement 2 for creating invoice over approving invoice. This must be belongs to some application, right? Let's say this belongs to a HR application, right? Because any entitlement, right, this should have a parent and that entitlement belongs to your HR application. Where HR application will be showing you all your salary card for creating an invoice, approving an invoice, and this belongs to HR application. What will happen first? Kevin, if he has already access to this or he want to get access to the create invoice, he should raise access to this application first, right? HR application. Once this HR application, he had to cut right after cut. Next, he can choose the entitlement 1 or entitlement 2. But first, he has to choose this application, HR application. Once he select the HR application and he select this 2 entitlement, and when he submit the request, right, immediately the workflow will trigger. That workflow I will be attaching to the HRM's application, this HR application. The workflow will check if this entitlement contain any Saudi or not. It will check against Saudi segregation of duty. If this entitlement 1 or entitlement 2 contain any Saudi, then the request will get auto reject. KVL will not get access to this entitlement 1 anymore because there is a Saudi workflow will reject it. Now, in our case, what we consider if we go to the system and have a check, we said this is our Active Directory demo application. Under this application, I have 2 roles. One is Flow HR, one is Flow Manager. I said if Kevin has access to Flow HR, he shouldn't have access to Flow Manager. If both the entitlement he has, that will be called as a violation or segregation of duty violation. To stop that, I have implemented Preventive SOD, right? I said Preventive SOD can be stopped, right, using your endpoint level to throw a workflow, right? Active Directory demo application, right? If I open this application, go to your security system, or how I can go? Go to admin, go to here identity repository, open your security system, right? Open the application Active Directory demo. In the application demo, right, Active Directory demo, I have an access word workflow, right? What is the workflow name? Active Directory Manager workflow is there, right? In this Active Directory Manager workflow, I'll check first if the user has any Saudi violation or not, whatever he is requesting, right? Now I'll go to Active Directory Manager workflow. How I can go to the workflow? Let me give a duplicate tab. Come back to your admin model. Go to here. Open your workflow. Go to workflow list, right? What is the workflow we saw attached to the security system? Active Directory Manager workflow. Now come back here. Open the Active Directory Manager workflow. Once you go back, edit the workflow. We gave a condition here, right? First, whenever any user is submitting request, it will seek the condition, right, if the request contains any Saudi or not. What is the condition I'm giving? Saudi greater than 0. Zim is nothing. I'll say you have 0 rupees. What does it mean? You don't have anything, right? Greater than 0 means you should have some number. That is what I'm mentioning. SOD greater than 0. That means SOD. If SOD is present, what will happen? The request write. See from this outcome condition if there is true output. This is true. This is false. If this is true means there is a SOD present. I'm mapping it to reject part. If there is no SOD write. This is the SOD is false. I'm mapping it to the manager approval. If there is no SOD present write, it will go for the manager approval write. How I'll know that SOD is present or not for these two entire line? Right, I set this active directory. There are two interments. One is cnn equal to flow richer and there is cnn equal to flow renter. What I did right, we created a function right. How the function we created? I said we are talking about SOD right. SOD part of driven diff. Remember how I can configure SOD. A SOD consists of three things. One is your role set, one is your risk, one is your function. Let's say we saw two interments we had for Active Directory right. Active Directory application, we have two interments. One is flow HR, another was flow manager. These two interments are, I said, if somebody has this interment, he shouldn't have this interment. If both the interments present, this will be a violation or a SOD violation. What I need to do? I said, SOD consists of three things: role, set, risk and prevent function. This function actually contains your entitlement details. I should prepare two functions like this. Function 1, I can attach the first entitlement as floor, AR right. Flow HR. I can create another function, function 2. I can mention this entitlement like floor manager. I mentioned here floor HR and floor manager. This is function and this is function 2. These two functions I'll be attaching to my risk. I'll say I'll define a risk. I'll give a name that this is Active Directory risk. And this risk I'll be attaching to my role set. Finally, this role set, I'll be attaching it. This role set is nothing but this, it's called your violation. I'll give a name Active Directory or Active Directory violation. This role set is nothing but called as a violation. If I want to create a violation or role set, I'll be attaching this role set to a risk right. This risk and this risk. I have to attach it to function. Basically, I have two functions, function and function 2. I'm attaching it to risk and this risk is attached to your role set. If I go inside the Vman right, if I go to, I'll give a duplicate tab. Now if I go to back, go to admin. Now go to your Saudi model right. In the Saudi model, if you expand this menu under the role set, we have creating role set, risk and function. We created two functions right. If I give active, type active. You can see these two functions we created as to write. This is function 1, floor manager active directory demo. If I open this function control plus open write and open the second one, These are the two functions we created, right? In the first function, I gave a function name and I mentioned the entire element scene equal to floor manager. This is function. In the function toFloorHR Active Directory demo, what I did, I mentioned another entire element, FlowHR. Once I mentioned these two functions, what I am doing in the end, right? I am attaching these two functions. To a role set or to a risk. These are the two. If I type floor, these two risks. For these two functions, I have been attaching to a risk. If I go to risk, in the Active Directory demo, if you open this, you can see in the function 1, I have attached one function that is FlowHR Directory demo. In the function 2, I am attaching Floor Manager Active Demo. If you believe you have more than 2 or 5 entitlement which can cause violation, you can attach up to 5 functions they have given here. You can create another function which has like a violation. You can create another function. Up to 5 function you can create. And you can attach it to your risk. Once your risk is prepared, I can finally attach this risk to my role set. This role set, Active Directory Demo, right? This is a violation. Open this role set. What is it still in? This role set. This is for Active Directory Demo, and what is the risk attached to it? The risk name is Active Directory Demo. Now the risk is present, right? What I can do, right? I can simply create a workflow. This workflow I have created, right, in the Active Directory Manager workflow. First, I am checking if there is S3D container or not whenever I am giving a request. If that request contains an SOD, then it should directly reject the request. And this workflow, it is configured right in my Active Directory application. If I go to Security System, open Active Directory, Demo Application, and here I have what has that workflow. Now, if I go ahead and raise the request for any user for these two entitlement, right? How I can do that? I will go to here, I will go to ARs, Request Access Further. Let's say I will choose a user, this user. And I will submit a request. I click on Next. Now I will type my application Active Directory Demo. Click Add to Cut, right. Click on Checkout. Now, as I said, the violation will occur if I add both the entitlement. Let me go ahead and add both the entitlement. Once I added both, click on Next. I will be writing business justification, some justification. And after writing some justification, right? I already know it is already showing both. You have a segregation of bilateral destitute violation found. The Active Directory demo this entitlement like if you see an equal flow register. It is conflicting with your entitlement flow manager. But still I am submitting the request. Let me submit the request. The request is submitted now, right? If I go to view status, let's see what happened to the request. If I go ahead already, it was showing violation is present. The rest is already causing the issue and this entitlement is causing the issue. If I go down, it is linked with violation found, right? If I go down, right, all my tasks are rejected. Create an account and your entitlement is all rejected. Because there is a violation is there and we are stopping it at the workflow level. The silly mistake, what we are doing in the SOD, I have mentioned it, like in a small letter SOD. This would be capital SOD space greater than that is GT space 0. If I mention that easily, it will catch up. There is a violation, right? If you clearly show this entitlement has a significant, right? See. There is a localization, SOD is there. While the request is submitting, it is shaking. Against this entitlement, there is a SOD is there. That is how it is getting cut and it is rejecting your request. It's not letting you approve it. If it would have there, it would have gone to your manager for approval. As this is a violation, it is simply rejecting your request. This is how, like you can generate the preventive SOD right. The moment you submit the request, it will not allow you to let you submit the request. Yesterday we saw how you can do the detective right. If your workflow is not there, let's say if I am simply removing this workflow, right? Before removing the workflow I will completely remove the workflow. What I will do? I will go to security system. Instead of this workflow, I will make it as an auto approve. Auto approve workload means some successful workflow. Now update it. I change the workflow. If I go to request and submit a new request, request access for other right. Let me choose this user. Go to next and choose your application activity demo. Click add to cut, check it out and add these two entitlements who are part of your violation right. Next, just write some comment here. That should be business justification right. There is a violation. It is asking. That's why business justification and you submit the request. Now, if you submit the request, go to view status right. You see there is a violation already, but you raise the request right. And it is saying clearly violation is there and the auto approve task generated for you. It is auto approve. Now if you go to the task is about created. And this is for your Active Directory account, right? Let me approve this request now. I will go to the job control panel. Click on the utility. Go back to your BYOC dry job. Click on action and start. Select your application Active Directory demo. Show more right. Here, give new account, add access and submit it. Let's wait for a minute to get it finished. Yes, right. This job is finished now, right? If I go ahead and check the request right, the request would have auto approved or it is approved. The task is processed. Just refresh the menu, right? Once you refresh and come down, you will see go to the task right and the task is completed. Now the user, this user right. She has the access to this, both computating and title right. If I go now open the user, go to your admin, click on the field Add Active Directory, click on User and filter the user. Now open the user, go to Account tab. In the Account tab, let's open the Active Directory demo. Once you open it, go to the associated entitlement and you will see this both entitlement present. Now there is a violation already there, right? Because both the entitlements are a part of your violation. How I can detect that? If you simply go to SOD model, if you scroll down, you will see the SOD will be generated. It will say there is an Active Directory demo risk. The risk name is there and the risk is there. If you open this, it will clearly tell you violation risk, Active Directory found. For this function, and this function has an entitlement. Of this entitlement, flow register. And you have flow manager. Now how you can mitigate the violation, or how can submit the request to remove this or to remove the violation. Simply, you can either go and click on the remediate option, that it will ask you to remove one of the entitlements which you don't require. Click on any of the entitlement. Click on remediate, now confirm it, and a task will generate for you. If you go to ARS, go to your pending task. Now you see for Susan, remove access task got created, right? Now, if you go to the job control panel, provisioning job, right? Click start now. Active Directory demo option. Here you have to give remove access, right? The task type, it was remove access. After giving, click on submit and wait for a second, and the task will get processed. Now the conflicting access for the user search. Then it will get removed. This is how we are dealing with your SOD model. Let me show you something more, right? On a new things, or how we can do an analytic report. Let's say that the task is processed. If I refresh it, say the task is gone, right? If you come back to your SOD, you see there will be no violation present. The violation is gone. As discussing about a new topic, let's say analytic report, right? Why this report is needed? Sometime when you are working for a company, let's say your manager asked, or something like a, hey, Susan, I want to see how many users are present, right? How many users are present in my company? Who are already inactive, but they have active account. What does it mean? Inactive users having active account. The main is, if this is your saving system, right? And HR onboarded a user. Let's say the username is Kevin, right? The Kevin user got onboarded to your saving system through a user input. And Kevin onboarded to your access norm. And now, as a part of work, right, Kevin got access to your Active Directory application. Active Directory application. And he has access to this application as a floor each hour. After working for some time, let's say for 1 or 2 years, Kevin left the company. He got a new job. Ideally, what happened? Kevin account from this Active Directory would have deleted, right? But due to some system, still the account is present in your Active Directory. But your Kevin user is inactive now in your access norm. Kevin is inactive here, but Kevin is active here. This time the company or SOC team, they wanted to have a check how many users are inactive in Saviynt but active in Active Directory. They asked you to check that. How you can check that? To check that, you have to write up a query. Write up a query. What should be the query? Query is to check You just first thing inactive, their account are active. How you know that if a user is inactive, an account have active? Basically, this user is a different table. Its account is a different table. If you want to find right, this user will contain all your user data. Let's say it has a 1000th user. In the same way, account will have 1000th account. But if Kevin is a user, right? Kevin is a user, what account Kevin has, right? That will be present in account table, right? But it is not in the direct way. What I mean, if Kevin is a user, Kevin has also account, right? You have to find what is the Kevin account number or what is the Kevin account ID. I know my name is Kevin, I am a user. I am present in the user table. And what is my account? ID or account key? How I'll know? There will be a relationship table. The table name it will be user underscore account. This user underscore account table. It will tell you what is the relationship between this account and user table. That means what is the Kevin ID has in this user account table. That using this user account table and get to confirm to know about Kevin has 5 account or 6 account in the account table. We have to refer 3 tables here. First is your users table where I can get the QN information, user information. Second table I have to refer is a account table where I can find Kevin account details. Who will help me to find the Kevin account details? The card table will have me user underscore account tables. This table will help me to identify the relationship between this table and this table. The name itself is suggesting user underscore accounts. This is the relationship table. 3 table have to refer to face the data right if somebody is active or not. If I go ahead right in the analytic, you always landed up in the version 2. There is a version 1 and version 2. There will be a question will come. What is the difference between your version 2 and version 1? I'll come to that part later once I write up the query right, I'll explain you what is the difference between version and version 2. Simply click, we landed up in the version 2, click Create New Analytic. Choose using a skill query. I'll be giving a name and active users having active account. First, before writing anything here, right, you have to process the query or see your query is correct or not. We have basically added a data analysis here, but in this function or in this version, it is not there. Directly, I'll be running the query in my database. First, I have to check inactive user other part. This is too bad inactive user having active account. First, I need to check inactive user right. I should. How I can check? Select right username, first name, last name from users where status key equal to 0. Status key 0 means it is inactive. Status key 1 mean it is active. If I run the report, it is telling these are the users, right? What is the default table? I have right. Save. Total, I got this much of record right. The status key is 0. Is this the correct information? If I go to the UI, let me go to just go to any menu, right? Let me go to your admin. Go to user identity repository. Click on user right. In the user, let's go to our advanced right. Status give us inactive your answers. How many record we got? 7 record from UI we are getting. These are the 7 users who are inactive, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 correct. We got the 7 record. If you want to count it right, how I can do that? Give select count star and run the query. It gives 7 record. Now let me just give the Ctrl Z right and run the query again. This is your first query which you prepared, right? For inactive user, inactive user. Second query is having active account. To check any active account, how we used to do that? Select. We have to refer your account. Table now right. If you scroll down here in the accounts table, if you expand it, it has the column name right. I just want to refer only 2 to 3 columns. In this table, I'll be referring your name column. Select name. That is your account name. Name, status. From accounts. This status column right. Where status equal to, or I can give the status in, I can write manually provisioned one, or it should be active right. These two things I'll be referring and just run the query. You see how much record you got. Lot of record rate, number of record you got where the status is manually provisioned. That manually provisioned means this is active and active means also active. What is manually provisioned and what is suspended for import service or those things, those status. I'll let you know, whatever the status. But as of now, consider manually provisioned means it is a manually provisioned, but it is active. Active is also active. How you can check that? Come back to your access now or your save and go to admin menu, right? Click here. Go to identity repository. Click on the account tab. Now you see a number of account rate. If you go to other ones, right in the other ones in the status you see manually suspended, manually provisioned. Lot of attribute of this. We are interested only active and manually provisioned right. If I give active, you see the active user status will come right. And if I go again advanced status, I can check manually provisioned. Manually provisioned and give search. You will get all the manually provisioned record. But here what we need. We need the user who are inactive but their account is active. This is a separate query. First, it is giving all the user record who are inactive. And second, it is giving a totally separate value who are active. I said it will be. We'll be clubbing this two statement together, right? And we'll be forming a new query using your user underscore account. If you imagine properly. See, this is a username, first name, last name you're getting from user table. And your account table, you're getting name status. Do you see any common column in the two tables? No, right? There is no common column. See, If you go back here, you see account key in the account table. There is an account key and account ID which is unique or primary key, right? Similarly, if you go to your user table, right? That is a user table, first table. If you look at the user table, you don't see any common column, but there will be a primary key. Let me open the user table, right? In the user table, if you go and if you expand the column right, you see there is a user key. Some column is user key, but you don't see any account key or anything, right? Then how we can build the relationship? For a relationship, there should be a common thing. That common thing, it will be given by your user underscore account table. The third table we discussed, right? If you go ahead and expand the user underscore account table, user underscore account. If you expand it, go to the column C. You see the user key as well as the account key here, right? This account key, it is coming from your account table. The user key, it is coming from your user table, right? We have to refer the user account table, right? Then how we can perform our final query? Right? I can perform the final query in this way. I'll give username. This username I'll be referring using an alias name or the alias name of that you. I'll mention username. Just giving a name. Then comma. First name, comma, last name from users you. For this user table, I use the alias name you, comma, right. The second table which will come, account table, right. For account, I'll be using accounts alias A, and here I'll do a name. This table we got right. And from another table, you have to mention users underscore or user underscore accounts. This is your third table. Now I'll be writing the condition where this is the most important part is your where condition, right. In the where condition, I have to mention user key of this table. User table should be same as user key of your account table. That is the first thumb rule. What should I mention? User key equal to. For user underscore account, I should mention alias, another alias. What I did where user key, user key. One condition I gave right. The first condition was right. User key of your user table. User key of your user table. This user table should be same as your user key of your user account. Underscore account table. That is your first condition. And what is the second condition? Account column or account key of your account table should be same as your account column of your user account table. That way we can build a relationship. Secondly, what I'm mentioning account key equal to where account key. This is the condition I have written right. Now, if you see this user key, it is present in this table, user account table, as well as your user table. And account key, it is present in this user underscore account table as well as in your account table. Now my query is ready. If I run the query, let's see what I'm getting. I am getting a record right for this Adams user. And one more condition I forgot to mention. This thing I need an inactive user having active account right. First I need to mention another condition here. What is the another condition? Endostatus means the status of user. What is the status key? Status key right. This status key column I should refer from here, not this one. See journey from users right. This is like from status key from your user table right. How I can mention that? I should mention here a status key should be 0. And another condition, what should I write? A status key 0, that means the user is inactive and account should be active right. Account key where it is coming? It is coming from your account table. It is account table alias name. What I have given here are right. I should mention as status right. As status, I should mention these two test status. And as status in manually provisioned or it should be active. These two conditions I am mentioning manually provisioned. If I run the query, let me see if I am getting any record or not. I got only one user, where the user is inactive but their account is active. What is their name? This is your name. Let me find this user. Go ahead, go to your admin. Go to your save and click on the user. Open this user. There is no such user. If I go to this is your username actually, sorry, 2520. Open this user, 252 user. You see this is inactive, right? If I open the user, go to your account. You see the account is active, right? The account is active and manually provisioned, right? Now, for testing purpose, what I can do, the SAM is user, right? If I open this user, go to account. Does it have any account? I need a user. Let me open this user, go to account. This doesn't have also account. I need a user where there is an account. Up test 3, if I open this user, this is the user, right? It has all the active account. Now what I can do for this user, go to user, this username is copy this username and the status here is active, right? Mark it as inactive and update it. Now what happened? This user, it is inactive now. See what is the status of this user, inactive, right? But their account is active. If this user is inactive or not, from the backend it can also verify given this user key, right? This is your username as well as this is your user key. I can go ahead first. Let me give a small query to check that. Select status key from users where user key equal to 2537. This is your user key. Last it is showing 2537. Simply run this query. You can see the status key is 0 now, right? It is showing. Now if I run my query, right, this query, the query we've prepared right now, which was returning one record. Now if I run this query, let's see what happened. Now you see it is giving 2 record, right? It is telling this 2537 user. This user is active, but it is inactive, right? This user is inactive and it has active accounts. This is how, right, you can write up a query, right, to verify whether the user is inactive or not. Once I write up the query, I just confirm this is my correct query only. I can copy this whole query, right? Copy. Come back to your menu, right? Our attestation analytic menu. In the analytic menu, click on create new analytics using SQL query. Give the name. Inactive users having active account. And here I'll paste that query, what column I'm taking. A dot name username, u dot username, first name, last name, right? I'm taking, even I should take u dot status key. I should take this column. And I should take the a dot status as well. The status column directly doesn't allow. You have to give an alias name a dot status as I'm mentioning STTS. Some spelling mistake I'm doing knowingly because it doesn't allow any status column to be included in the report. This is a violation as per Saviynt. You cannot use that status column directly. If I go ahead now, I have to mention the category. Basically, I'm doing the information refresh that I'll be simply making mention a category information refresh. I'm just doing the information refresh. And this is low risk. There is no risk of writing this query. And simply do a preview. If you do the preview, it will give the record like this. You can close this and create the report now. It will ask you on the filter column which column you want to visible and which is the filterable column. After that, click on submit. Once you submit this report is ready. How you can do that? See without running the report. Also, you can check the data. How you can do that? Simply click on the ring, click the dry run. See, it gave you the total to record. Simply, it is not storing any data if you do a dry run. Dry run. Basically, it's taking the backend. It run a query, but it don't store anything. If you want the report to be visible proper way, click on the run and run history. Sorry, run now. Or how you can do that? This report is now prepared, right? Let me copy the report name. Again, come back to analytic menu. Go here, give the report name, search it. You find the report name, right? Directly in here, you can click run now or you can open the report and run now. If I directly click on run now, right? Once you run it, it will take some time to run the report and it's a total to record save. Now what you can do? Directly, you can click and go to the run history or open this report. Go to click run, click that, open the drop down and go to run history. You see, if you scroll down, it has run the report now. Simply click this number and you see there are 2 records which is it is facing. You can download the report right to an Excel report and you can send to the desired person, whoever is asking for the report. You can give the report. This is the report. You know where users are inactive, but they are. You know they are found or active. You can simply go to the download. The report will be here. Just extract the report, extract here. Now open this file and you see the inactive viewer. We don't have any software, that's why it is not opening. Notepad, it won't open. You need an Excel software to open it. Or we can download the report in a CSV file, right? Click on the CSV. It generates a CSV file. Open the folder. Right now this is a CSV. Extract file. Or I should be go to download extract here. Now it extracted, right. This is the folder. If you open it, this is the file. Right click edit with notepad. If you open, you can see the status of the report, right. Status is open, comments is this name, is this username, is this, and your first name, last name, what is the status, right. Status is here for both the user. For that account status, it is manually provisioned. And you can send the report or keep the report for your tracking purpose. This is how we are going to deal with your analytic report, right. Analytic menu. By default, there will be some of the report which is present when the save event is installed, right, and you can leverage or you can create your own report. Ideally, I told you one thing, when you are clicking in the analytic report, you see there is version 1, 2 and version 1. Why this is version 1 and version 2? Earlier, when there was only one version, version 1, right? This version 1, it can use only your SQL query, right? If you create new analytic, it is using only your SQL query. But in the version 2, it is using an Elasticsearch query. Using Elasticsearch query. What is the difference between your normal SQL query and Elasticsearch query? What happened? If you understand properly, in the first thing I was telling why we are using Active Directory, right? There is a thing I told you, we are using Active Directory for faster data retrieval, right? Because in the real time all over, right, is only 20%. Every day 20% users creating, but all the 100% user, right? They are accessing their data. Means all the 100% user in a company, every day all the employees are searching something, right? But even if it comes to the joining part or creation of the employee or joining part, only few employees will be joining daily basis. But all the employees are searching something. That means they are retrieving the data. In the real world, retrieval is much needed, right? Retrieval is much needed. Every day for retrieving your data, like if you take example of Facebook, hardly every day 100 account will be getting created in Facebook. But 1 lakh or 2 lakh of people might be surfing on hourly basis, right? I am just giving an example. You can imagine the retrieval of data or the reading of data. It is mostly used compared to your creation of data. For retrieval purpose, we are using active rate to make it as a faster write. In the same way, this analytic query write. Analytic query, it is divided into two parts. One is your version 2, another is your version 1. Version 1, it is simply using a SQL query or SQL query to provide the data. But version 2, it is using an Elasticsearch. What does it mean, Elasticsearch? Elasticsearch is another service. It is deployed in a system, right? And this Elasticsearch can give 1 lakh or lakh of record in a fraction of second. In a fraction of second, you can retrieve 1 lakh of record. Where if you retrieve 1 lakh of record using only normal SQL query, right, it will be too much slow. And this performance will degrade under down. That is why the version 2 Elasticsearch is there. Elasticsearch, again, it is a service. it has a different memory. It has a different server which is deployed, right? If you use the Elasticsearch, what it is doing, it will go ahead and search against your database using its own memory. And it will be much more faster. If I'll give an example, if you were a batsman, right? Or you were a person in your single hand. If there is a ball, if you try to hit it right, if you will be covered to able this distance. If 10% will come and they will try to hit the ball, definitely they will cover more distance than you, right? Because they have more power than you or than a single person. The same way, the Elasticsearch is a separate service or separate server which is dedicatedly there for your data retrieval purpose. And they're using this Elasticsearch concept. Again, it is the same query, but through a different server. They're trying to retrieve the data against your database, and that is why it is too much faster and too much reliable. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.